You know what? You know what? The wise Usher once said, situations will arise in our lives, and you gotta be smart about it. And when these situations have came up for the Ravens, I know for darn sure John Harbaugh has not been smart about it. And for a guy who's been in the league for a while, right? He's made some really big decisions regarding this organization. Sometimes you come to the end of the road, right? And I'm not saying here in the intro right here that Harbaugh should be fired. But I mean, we at least need somebody to sit down and have a stern talking to John Harbaugh. All right, what is going on, good people? I'm gonna be quick on this recap. I'm frustrated. Okay, I'm like most of Ravens flock right now. I've taken a day and I have kind of tried to tamper my frustration, and it's still frustrating. Right? Like, where do you start? Where do you start? Another big lead given up by the Ravens this season, which seems to be a thing they're gonna do. Of course, you had Miami statement game, a game where you're like, I mean, Miami's on the rise, like at this point, right? Miami, okay, Miami looks good. They got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and these guys. Okay, they coming into Baltimore. Yeah, they let's see what they gonna do. And you decimating them, you taking them down, a peg a little bit, like you looking good. And then we remember what happened. That was on the defense, right? That was on the offense did everything they could do. That was on the defense. This one kind of was like it was a whole show, right? It was a whole, everybody got the tag in, right? Everybody got the tag in and say, hey, it was on me. Hey, it was on me. Hey, it was on me. Hey, it was everybody, right? First off, defensively, I think the defense played pretty well until they needed to, right? I think the defense played pretty well until you needed them to get a stop. Here's why I say that. Because it shouldn't always be on the offense to score 40 points, right? Now I get it. They didn't score more than 21. They didn't score more than 14, right? They got the two field goals, which I think still goes in the offense's favor because you got to get down to a point of getting the field goal. The offense has to do that. The special teams don't. They can, but they don't always do that. So still 20 points, right? You put 20 points on the board for the offense. Now, one of them was off of a pick too that Marlon Humphrey had a pretty good return off of. The offense just, before it was so easy for the Ravens to put games away. But that's because the running game was so good. And the running game right now is not good. And then when you continue to run the ball and it's not working, what's the point? First half, it worked fine, right? Second half, you got conservative. You're like, we're going to run this football, right? We're going to run this football. And it just wasn't the move. It just wasn't the move. Defensively, I mean, no, I should go back. Offensively, I think that's the issue. You still trying to play 2000s Ravens football. Bro, you got Lamar Jackson, the MVP, right? MVP front runner, if that's what we want to say too, right? I mean, I think it's enough to say that. You got a guy who's been an MVP before, who literally puts the team on his back, literally changes the trajectory of this team. Be aggressive. I always say, put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands. Here's my thing, and I guess that's why, I think Lamar has earned the right to have the ball put in his hands, and let's see what happens, because he's that great, right? He's that great. Yes, you're going to miss some game-winning shots. You're going to miss some game-winning throws. There's going to be some pressure in your face, and you're going to backpedal and throw it up and give your man a chance, and he ain't going to come down with it, right? That's going to happen. That's going to happen. But if you're not giving him a chance, you're not doing him any good. Why are you playing so conservative, offense? It's 20-3. It should be 40-3. before I look back. It should be 40-3 because you moving the ball down the field, and at the same time, you're doing exactly what you need to do. Defense. All the money we put into the defense. You played well in the first half. You had us in the first. You really did. You played well. I think Marlon played well. I think Marcus Peters played well. Right? I mean, Stephon Diggs didn't do anything really this game. But at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking when we needed you to make a stop, Harbaugh didn't trust you. Harbaugh didn't trust you, right? The fans certainly don't trust you. I mean, the fans have gotten used to this, unfortunately, right? I think the fans literally feel like, oh man, dude, like yes, we want you to take the 3, right? But I don't know if I trust the defense because they put a lot of money into the defense for some iffiness to happen. And then on top of that, right, I think it's got to be coaching too. I think coaching is the first thing I probably should have said. Harbaugh, you ain't got to go for it every time that there's a 4th down and you want to rewrite the history books or something. Somebody once told me history is written by the winners. I don't even know who said it. I know a friend of mine who told me this. He said history is written by the winners, so I don't mind John Harbaugh going for it. But if history is written by the winners, but then you consistently lose trying to make history, then you're doing something wrong, right? You're on the wrong foot. You're not on the good foot. You're not, James Brown said, get on the good foot. You're not on the good foot. You're on the wrong foot. You're on your back foot. So when I look at this, I think if I had to rank it in tiers, and not my tiers, but the tiers, right? Like 1, 2, 3. I think it's got to be coaching first, because it all starts with the person who we gonna give the most credit to if the Ravens win, outside of the quarterback, of course, right? But I think it starts with the head coach. John Harbaugh, somebody got to tell John Harbaugh, every time that you got a chance to win the game, you don't have to go. You can go for the tie. You got the best kicker in NFL history. You can go for the tie, put your defense out there because they've been playing well, right? Yes, the Bills had gotten back in the game by that point. But in terms of like the big play thing, the thing that I've been worried about all season so far this year, there was no like big plays really for the Bills. So like, once again, if you and you've proven that you can stop them if you make them nickel and dime you down the field, if they ain't hitting you with big chunk plays. So I think that's where it first starts with Harbaugh. And I think there needs to be a heart-to-heart with Harbaugh. Either you start making decisions that's going to make us winners of these games. Like there was plenty of games last season that, of course, we put on the offense because, they were hurt. It was Tyler Huntley. I get that, right? We put those games on the offense, and it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been on the offense, right? It probably should have been more on John Harbaugh because it's tough because going back to then, at least you can say, oh, we had injuries, right? We didn't have guys in the proper places that were healthy, that were able to stop these guys coming, the Rams and the Packers and these great teams we played down the stretch, but we were in the game. But right here, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for cowering in the face of fear if you're the offense. And there's no excuse to go for that 4th down. Not one. Like you can say, okay, yes, if everything sounds good as a what if, yeah, if he made it though, if he made it, then we would have been no, there is no if he made it. Hindsight is a great thing, but you can't win using hindsight unless you use hindsight to learn to get to where you need to get next time. But Harbaugh's not doing that. We've seen this over and over again. This is clockwork at this point, right? This is clockwork. Boom. 4th down, missed. 4th down, bad play call, right? Not necessarily Harbaugh's fault, but why go for it, right? 2-point conversion. Why you like? Yes, you can go for the win, but you've been playing well. Why are you going for a 2-point conversion? Right, another 2-point conversion. Right, going, and I'm all for going for the win when it makes sense. It's not 23-20 Ravens up and it's 4th and goal. And if you kick the field goal, it's just a 6-point game. All they got to do is score and kick the extra point and they win. No. It's 20-20. Tie ball game. You kick the field goal, you make them have to get a touchdown to beat you. So I think first it goes head coaching, right? Coaching. And then I think probably second I have to go offense. Like, I know both offenses really didn't play that well. It was kind of more of a defensive game for two of the most prolific offenses in the NFL right now. But I think secondly, it's got to go offense, because I think the defense puts you in proper positions to be successful. They got turnovers. I think they had 2 in this game. They had turnovers, right? They played well. The offense, the defense did their job, I feel like, at least in the first half. I know the second half, it was kind of iffy. Like, once again, situationally, right? When you need them the most, they kind of iffy. But I think the offense, I think I should say, I think the defense played well. Now, albeit, there were some times where Josh Allen just outran people, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, yes, Josh Allen is a good athlete, but is Josh Allen even that fast? Or are we like out of shape or something? Why can't Patrick Queen catch Josh Allen? Right? Always supposed to be one of the fastest defenders probably in the league, in terms of like D ends and rush ends. He can't catch him. What is happening? Right? There were some rough calls too. Right? There was some rough calls too. There was some missed throws. The missed double move route, that was a miss. Right? I don't necessarily blame one pick was a tip ball, which the Ravens, I think, are the most unlucky team when it comes to tip ball interceptions. Like, do y'all remember that game when it was back when Joe was playing and he played against the Dolphins, and somehow somebody barely got their hand on the ball, and usually, like, it's an incomplete pass, or like it just drops to the ground, it's an incompletion or something like that. No, it popped straight up in the air 90 degrees and then it got picked off. Right? Like, I remember that like it was nothing. I'm like, the Ravens have the worst luck when it comes to interceptions. And I mean, even defensively, you got dropped interceptions. Like, and then of course, I think the defense kind of comes in third, because I think they played well. I really do. I think the defense played well. I think Marlon and Marcus Peters played well. There were no big plays given up. It wasn't like Miami, where there was just big play after big play, like, and it was just like, what the heck is going on? Yes, there's still miscommunication. That's an issue. Yes, there's still dumb situational play calling. Right? That's an issue. And more so when you got trips on one side and you line up 2 guys over there. That's just that the math ain't mathing, right? That's an issue. So, that's a whole nother issue. But then, like, I guess on the bright side, right? A lot of people want to compare this to 2019. They're like, we had to lose to the Browns to spark that run. But like, that's the thing. Like, there were moves that were made too with that, right? And honestly, I don't and like, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know how you guys felt about that game back then. Of course, you got the benefit of hindsight now and what it meant to the team, I guess. But like, that game was demoralizing. Like, that game was like, this might be a rough year, right? This might be a rough year if the Ravens can't stop beating themselves. And I think even now, like, it still feels like the Ravens are beating themselves. The Ravens, like the Ravens haven't gotten outplayed by anybody. Like, let's look at the season so far, right? Especially the 2 losses, because the wins are not, as my camera goes dead here. See, my camera ain't even having it today. My camera is like, you know what? We done with you. we 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 done with this right now. So even still, right? Like back then, that was a frustrating time, right? Like that was literally but they made moves after that. Like Marcus Peters was brought in because the secondary was awful. The secondary was terrible. Um, the secondary was not good at all. They were not good back then. So they brought in Marcus Peters, and a lot of that was because of course, shout out to Jimmy Smith who retired today. Jimmy Smith was a big deal in the secondary back then. Like when he went out, like the secondary changed. Like they could not cover anymore. So that's the thing. Like I don't know if any moves will be made because I still feel like the Ravens are one receiver away. And it's hard because I don't see them trading for anybody, which is probably what they need to do. But I also don't see them going after Odell either. Like they claim to have so much confidence in their guys, but then y'all signed 5 undrafted free agents at the beginning of the preseason because you knew you didn't have as much confidence as you thought you did. Because let's be honest, like Prochet doesn't even really get snaps. Tylan Wallace doesn't even really get snaps, right? Like it's more so you trying to run the 2 wide receivers. The 2 tight ends with 3 wide receivers when you do run a 5 wide set, or you might put Ricard out there to slide or something. But I just don't know. I think it draws a lot of parallels to it, but then at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking, oh, the Ravens gonna actually make the move that's worthwhile, right? Once again, and a lot of it like it's tightening up again, right? And not that tighten up, but the real tighten up, right? Like tightening up some of these loose bolts. Why is it that you can't tackle? Right? Why is it that you're playing sloppy? The offensive line too deserves plenty of blame for this game. In terms of like we talking about, holding is a back-breaking penalty. Holding might be the most unfair penalty in the game because you're already 10 yards out and then you add 10 more yards to that. So holding might be the most back-breaking penalty in the game, and you had plenty of those in this game when it came down to it. Just big penalties that like the Ravens haven't really been a highly penalized team until this year. So that's another one too. Like penalties, like right now they just playing sloppy. You get up on a really good team and then you play sloppily enough to lose the game. Doesn't make sense to me. So I think it ain't like, oh, let's throw in the towel, because I couldn't even throw in the towel last year with the amount of injuries that the Ravens had, right? Like the Ravens had a ridiculous injury report, game in and game out, week in and week out. Guys out for the year for the start of the year. So I think putting it together is going to be the biggest thing. Like I think we're going to learn a lot about, number one, Mike Macdonald. What can he do? Right? How does he respond? Because it's not necessarily, it's not necessarily how much you get hit, right? In a particular game, right? It's not necessarily how much you fall down in a particular game. But now, you are not quite a quarter of the way through the season. But old schooly, like you're a little bit of a quarter away through the season, right? Let's just say, right? You're the first 4 weeks in. You got plenty of real tape to look at now and say, okay, hey, we're 2-2, but we should be 4-0. And I think that's a positive to look at it too. Like you should be 4-0, you're 2-2, and at the same time, there was not a team. You can say talent wise teams are better than you. You can say coaching wise teams are better than you, but none of these teams that beat the Ravens this season are better than the Ravens right now, right? When they execute full throttle as they should, 60 minutes each game. If the Ravens can put together, like, just imagine if the Ravens can finish. if the Ravens can finish halfway as decent as they start games, they'll still win a lot of their games. Now, albeit, I want the Ravens to put the hammer down. I said it in my as I wrap up. I said it in my preview last week. Actually, I think it was my pick show that I go on. The Ravens had a potential to really be a team that can blow out anybody. The Ravens can blow out anybody. Like, and that sounds like a blanket statement, but the Ravens are really that good to where they can really put the hammer down on anybody. They are that good of an offense. But can they finish that? Right? Can they finish that? This team is on the cusp of this is literally a team that could be a dynasty with all the potential that is there. But you don't win games off of potential. You win games off of what's on the field. So let's see what they do. Let's see how they respond. Right? It's only week 4 on the bright side. It can always get better. And games like this where you felt like you were a better team and just lost, you can at least, I mean, it could always be worse. It could always be worse. It could always get worse, but it could always be worse right at this moment. But as of right now, it's not worse, right? You got time to fix it. You got weeks to fix it. It's not the bye week or nothing, so you won't get no extra weeks to figure it out. But you got the Bengals coming up, and the thing is, with the Bengals coming in, considering how this defense has looked at times this year, it could be a rough one. But at the same time, considering how this defense has looked, it could be a really good day for the Ravens. It could be a good day at the office. So let's see what they got up their sleeve. It's another statement game. This is another one of those games where it's not, once again, it's not a must win. But if you win it, winning is the best deodorant, right? When you win, people tend to forget, oh, you blew that lead to Miami. Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot about that because you beat Cincy, right? I forgot about that because you beat Tampa, right? So let's see what they're going to do. Let's see what they're going to do. Still early in the season. I still think they're one receiver away. They need to go ahead and just make that move. Bring in Odell on a vet minimum or something, right? Bring in Odell on a vet minimum. Promise him a Super Bowl. You got to do something. They one receiver away. I don't know what they're going to do with the pass rush because it still ain't there yet. But I think JPP gonna help a little bit because it looked like it looked a little better, a wee bit better. But as always, Flock Nation Speaks, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the good stuff. You can listen to us. You can watch us. Well, usually it's just me. But anyway, definitely hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button below and be sure to give me a like. On TikTok too, post clips from time to time, some original content from time to time. So go watch the journey over there as well. But we'll have a preview coming up soon. I didn't think this was going to go as long as it did, but But as always, definitely hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys on the next one. Until next time.